You so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you see this all right?
I see it. Everybody else
Yep.
can see it.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So, as we've said, today I'm going to talk about social media design principles. And the main takeaway from this is that design is communication. Design is not simply about making your social media graphics look good. It is definitely about that. But mainly, we just want to be making sure that your design is saying who you are accurately. And that takes a lot of consistency and knowing your brand and what you want to be saying first. So let's talk about what branding means, because it can come across as, oh, branding, that's like your logo, right? Well, your logo is one part of your brand, and some brands, they don't even have a logo, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Your brand might just be you and what you do, which is totally awesome. But that means that your brand is going to be so much more than your logo. Your brand is not only even your visuals, your color palette, your fonts, the photos, the videos you use, but it's going to be so much more than even visually. It's going to be the tone that you choose to use in your posts, whether you come across as quirky and fun, or you're more serious and trustworthy and grounded. Whatever tone you use, that is also part of your brand, your slogans, your call to action, the values that you stand behind. Basically, whatever your customers think of you, whatever their impression is, that is your brand. So to go with knowing your brand's identity, you want to be communicating that with your design. So you need to be thinking about when you design anything, what are your fonts, your color usage, your photos, icons, shapes, lines, textures? What are they saying? What are the visuals of your posts saying? And when you think about this, we also need to be keeping all of those visuals consistent. So basically, if you're using like a cutesy sort of cartoon graphics in one post, it's going to be a little bit confusing if you're using more realistic photos and real life stuff in another post. We really want to be keeping all of our design communication specific. And that's not to say you want to be stagnant and it's okay to change, but mostly you want to be keeping everything consistent to the message of your brand and who you want your customers to see you as. So alignment. Alignment is one of the elements of design, right? And that is arranging elements in relation to one another. So where you have things in your design is going to determine where the eye falls first, second, third, and so on. So when you put, because we read in English from left to right, when you put an element, whether that's a photo, your logo, your call to action, if you put that on the top left, that is the best spot to get people to see it first. So if you have something really important or really eye-catching that you want people to notice, the top left is going to be a really good place for that. Top centered is also really good. But when it comes to centering things, I know that can be really sometimes the easiest thing to do, so we want to jump straight to that. But if you have too many elements centered, like all of your text, all of your photos, everything's like lined up right in the middle, that can come across as boring. So we really want to mix things up and make sure the design is more balanced. And we don't want to leave things floating at random. We don't want something way over here, just randomly. We actually want to make sure that things are lined up as much as possible. So if you have a big stretch of an element to the left, you want to make sure that maybe your text is like lined up at the top or at the bottom. You just want to make sure that things are lined up to where it's making sense and not coming across as unintentional alignment. And having a grid really helps with that. So many programs that you can use for design do this. I find Canva to be the easiest. So I'm going to be talking about Canva in this presentation because Canva has a feature where you can click to set up a grid. I will be posting the PDF. It has a little tutorial on how to do that in Canva, but you can set up a grid. I like the 3x3 grid because it's super easy to use. And elements will, once you place them like a picture or text or whatever you want to put, it can snap straight to the grid and help you with knowing how you're going to size things and how you're going to align them. It's super easy to use. And so grids are very helpful for alignment and making sure that things are evenly spaced or symmetrical. Hierarchy. This is going to help you know how to align what you want people to notice the most. So hierarchy is how you organize those visual elements, and that's going to be in order of how important they are. So hierarchy is basically whatever your most important message, the photo that you want people to really be focusing on, whatever it is you want people to focus on the most, everything else is going to be aligned and sized and colored in order to support that main idea in your design. People scan posts really fast, so what you want them to notice that has to stand out right away. So think about what you want people to be taking from your post. Is it a photo, a headline, your logo? That element becomes the focus of your visual hierarchy. And like I said, everything else will support that. So in order to build good hierarchy, using that alignment, like I talked about, and spacing is also very important. So people will see things spaced closely together as if they're related. So if you have, for example, a caption to a photo, you don't want that to be way over here when your photo is way over here. You really want it to be maybe directly above or below or beside it so that people will see the proximity and think, oh, those are related. Same with bullet points to whatever you're talking about. You don't want that off somewhere else. You want those close together. Color, size, and contrast can help highlight key elements that you really want people to notice as well. White space. A lot of people forget how important white space can be, and that is the empty space in your design. So empty, it kind of sounds like, oh, well, that's not important, right? We need to be filling up that space. But if you fill up too much space in your design, it's really going to take away from the audience's ability to focus on what's actually important. That empty space, it really should be serving your message, serving what's important about your post. Because if everything is emphasized, it's like highlighting all of the words on a page. Nothing is going to stand out. It's going to be too busy. People are going to scroll right past. White space actually helps get attention to your posts. And speaking of getting attention, contrast is extremely important, especially when it comes to text. I have seen so many people use white text against a light background, black text against a dark background. It's not readable, and people are going to scroll right past again, like yellow text on a white background. I've seen that a lot. We really want strong contrast so that people are able to read your post and see what's important about it. So contrast is the visual differences between elements. So it's not only color, it can also be shape, sizing, all sorts of different types of contrast. Light versus dark, thin versus thick, color versus warm. Anything that stands out, contrasts, right? But that also means that you need elements that are the same as each other so that what you want to stand out will stand out. So those uniform design elements, they can be the same size, the same color, whatever is different is going to stand out, but that does mean you need things that are the same. So don't think that everything needs to stand out. Don't think that all the space needs to be filled, because in order for stuff to stand out, you need that blank space. You need that uniformity. Again, light text on dark backgrounds, that really works best. I really only ever recommend people use white text on a dark background or black text on a light background, because doing colors with text, it can be really tricky. But if you do use colors, make sure you bold your text. Make sure you make the text that is colored differently bold, because that will also help with readability. color palettes. So I could talk all day about color. This is one of the things that if you want a really good color palette for your brand, which is very important because you want signature colors that when people see those in your posts, especially your main one or two colors, they'll think of you. So this is one of those things that I really recommend that if you're confused at all, or if you have no idea where to start, talking to a professional designer would really be key for this because it can be very tricky to figure out if you're a beginner. There are tutorials and such online, but it can be very difficult. So I recommend talking to a professional about that if you aren't sure what to do. But speaking of color, color is very much a cultural thing. So depending on the culture that you're serving, how your color comes across can really differ. There are some universal, pretty much feelings people have about color. For example, blue is pretty much universally seen as very calming. Red can be very alarming, but that also makes it stand out and pop out if you want to, evoke a sort of passionate feeling. But in general, for our US culture, I would say if you want bold and energetic, if that's your brand, you're really focused on getting people pumped up. Reds, oranges, bright colors will evoke that more. Calm and trustworthy, blues and soft neutrals. Elegant and refined, blacks, golds, those muted tones that really come across as elegant. Fun and youthful pastels, pinks, vibrant colors. All the colors that you choose, they not only have to go together, they not only have to look good, but you really need to be thinking about what does this say about my brand? Is my brand, do I sell trucks? Do I really want like a soft blue if I'm going to be selling trucks? Do I want something that's going to fit more with my brand so that people will immediately be able to see who I'm trying to serve and how I want to come across, right? So that's something to think about with your colors. So your palette, you don't want just 2 or 3 colors. You want it to be flexible enough for varied designs, but you also want it to be consistent across all of your social media platforms and be limited enough to where people will see your colors and think of you the moment they see your graphics on social media. And you will need both light and dark colors for contrast. There's just like so much I could say about colors, but again, I will post the PDF so that you guys can look this over. So now we've come to the most important part of social media design, which is your identity. That is what all of your design is going to be centered around. And second is your message, because your identity, you always want customers to be able to see who you are in every single post that you make across all of your social media platforms. And your messaging then comes second because your design should always serve the message that you happen to be trying to convey in whatever post that you're making. So again, your identity is how your brand looks, feels, and sounds. And that is what makes you uniquely, recognizably yours. So think about what makes you, your brand, what makes you unique? What message do you want your audience to be getting from you? What vibe do you want them to be getting from you? What tone do you want? Because all of your design should be communicating that. So if your brand were a person speaking to your audience, what would they sound like? This is super important also when it comes to coming up with the posts that you're going to make, the words that you're going to be using. Are you going to be witty and cool, funny and lighthearted, calm and knowledgeable? Knowing the personality of your brand helps you not only choose the right colors, fonts, tone, and design style so your visuals speak the way that your brand would. But again, it helps you come up with the captioning for your post. If you're the one making all the captionings, you want all of that to be consistent with the visuals of your brand so that your audience will hear it before they even read a word. In order to keep your branding consistent, what designers do is we come up with a brand guide. And that is, these are the font choices that we're going to use. Didn't get a chance to talk about fonts in here, but really you only want like 2 or 3 font choices. really using any more than 2 or 3 font choices is gonna make your designs a little bit cluttered looking. So creating rules for what your fonts are going to be, what your color palette is, titles, body text, especially if you have multiple people who are running your social media accounts, having that brand guide will be an excellent reference so that everyone is on the same page. Nobody's like taking a funny sort of tone for your brand while you want them to be more like serious and trustworthy coming across, you know? Everyone's would be on the same page and making sure that they only use the colors that are in your palette. So nobody's doing like a bright yellow when you have like a muted orange. Decide what types of photos you want to use, rules for your photos. Do you want to be minimalistic? Do you want the photos to be really bright and cheerful or sleek and modern? Setting rules for how your logo will be used. I've seen some brands say specific rules for the amount of space you need to have around the logo so that nothing gets too close and crowds the logo. I've seen brands, you know, you can only do the logo in black or white. We don't want any other colors. So making sure you know the way that you want to come across, putting that all in a brand book for your reference and for anyone else who posts on your social media's reference is a really good idea. And again, if all this seems too confusing, talking to a professional might really help clarify and help you get a good idea of the visuals that you want for your brand book. Utilizing AI in design. So AI it can be a great starting point, especially if you're stuck on how to make a social media content calendar, post ideas, your social media goals. Who is your audience? If you haven't defined who your audience is, it's really hard for you to know how am I going to design my brand so that it comes across the way I want it to an audience that I don't know. So knowing your audience using AI can be a good starting point for that. Basically, AI is great for forming an outline and getting ideas. It is not good for making the whole post for you. I've made this mistake before. I had it come up with a caption for, I think it was Labor Day. I look online later, someone else used almost the exact same caption. You really want to be editing everything that AI puts out so that you can put your unique voice into it and really make it your own. So don't overuse AI tools. It's a great tool, but it's a terrible master. Always edit the text to make sure it sounds like you rather than generic. And using it as a template is a good idea. So yeah, visual branding, all of this can be super difficult. People go to school for many years to know how to design. So if any of this was confusing, it is confusing. It can be definitely confusing. If you're overwhelmed, don't be afraid to reach out, even if you just want to see if it might be for you. Consistency is one of the most important parts about branding. Just keeping your visuals consistent will really help people understand, oh, this is this brand. This is the person that I trust that I've been going to for business. I immediately visually see that this is uniquely them posting. In Canva, you can create a brand kit that can really help you with your consistency. The PDF I will post has a little guide on how to do that. And it helps so much because it makes it very easy to choose your fonts, choose your colors, super, super quick and easy. So there you go. That's all the tips I have for you guys today. And I really hope that helped. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
And you put your information into the chat, right?
Oh,
You
I
can do
will
that too.
post that in just a
Yeah,
moment.
you're welcome to put your PDF in there. I also will send it out to everybody that's here. So, or Rebecca had to leave, maybe she'll be back, so I'll get that to her because she was here initially. I did have a couple questions. Maybe you're the one that can really help me understand Canva because, you know, everyone says it's easy and it's fun and you'll get it. And then when I go into there by myself, I get, I see it, you know, you've heard of like math blocks, like I see I have a graphic block. But isn't it true that to have because I have my colors, I mean, my own graphic designer could get those exact numbers to me. But if you have paid Canva, you have, is that advisable, do you think? I guess maybe I'll make it a broad question.
Is it a good idea to get paid Canva? I would say that it is, especially if you're someone like me who really likes to use those assets that Canva has already in it. Otherwise, it's a lot more limited. But I would say before you make that decision, definitely just, if any of you haven't tried out Canva, definitely try out the free version first and see if you
Mhm.
even like it, if it's for you or not.
Well, that's a good advice, just for starters. I have another question, but somebody else want to chime in with a question or comment?
Yeah, I'll chime in. Yeah, so I've been coached a long time ago that instead of using my logo on social media, to use a signature, to pay for a really beautiful signature and always use that instead of a logo, that it's more professional. What are your thoughts on that?
I've actually never heard that advice before. That's really interesting. I would say it seems to me that either using your logo or just using a picture of you, especially if your business is just it's just you doing what you do, using your picture, I feel like is even better than using a logo. If you're a bigger company, I would recommend just using a logo. But yeah, that's really interesting. I've never heard of a signature before.
Yeah, so that's what I tend to use, and my logo is it struck me what you said, and I've thought of this many times before, but sometimes you really like something you designed and you don't want to let go of it. Well, so my logo is kind of whimsical and it's kind of almost like a caricature or not quite cartoon, but my company is Speakers on Fire Academy. So Academy makes it sound like it's serious, but my logo is a picture of a person who's, just I don't know what the word is, with their hair on fire and there's a mic. And so sometimes I think, well, that doesn't really go with, if I had to think of one thing to represent me, it wouldn't be the creative, whimsical part, although that is a big part, but I would want to be more leading with the professional, serious part, but I go back and forth. Um, yeah, so I don't know if you have any thoughts on the logo, because you mentioned it, your logo should match the main message of your brand.
Yes. Again, actually, if your brand is just you, I would recommend maybe using your picture because people would really connect with that. If it's more than that and you do want to come across as really professional, I would actually recommend talking to a graphic designer about that because designing a logo, especially on Canva, there could be copyright issues with not really owning it. Otherwise, especially you can also just draw some sketches. A graphic designer would love to work with your ideas. But as for more professional, yeah, that definitely going with your instinct of how do I want to come across, I think is very good. So if you think that your logo should be changed, that's a good thought to start with.
Another thought I have along these lines, Marla, if you go to LinkedIn and you look at the LinkedIn profiles of your competitors, of your clients, that's a quick way to assess their style. Here's my bias is you're really audience, if I understand it correctly, are paid professional speakers or people who want to get into that space. And a lot of times when I've seen speakers, I've seen more of their picture, to Minuette's point, than a logo. So I think you have to think about your industry, and both people who do what you do and then the clients you have. Those are my thoughts. I mean, I think especially when we're a one person operation, if someone said, send me your logo, I said, well, I'd rather have my picture in it than my logo. My logo has its place, but I feel that I'm more recognizable by my picture than I am by my logo. And
Right.
James, do you
But
have thoughts on this as a digital marketing person? I don't know if you've stepped away, if you're right here or not.
I mean, I think that's a great point to, look at your competitors and look at your clients and see what they're doing. Most of my posts are pictures of me on stage or doing something like that.
Yeah, I've seen
They
them.
already have my picture, so to add a picture wouldn't make sense. But, in those cases, I'd want the signature or the logo probably. But yeah.
Yeah, it's so, I don't know, say distinctive is maybe a word, or, personal style, or so many other things.
Yeah.
Let's see, James, what are your thoughts? Oh, there you are. You want to unmute and if just speak to this matter of logo versus picture versus a signature. For someone who does what Marla does as a speaking coach, speaking to professional or aspiring professional speakers.
I had to step away just for a second. In terms of using a logo, picture, or signature for social media, the icons, what she was talking about,
Yeah.
Yes.
we've tested it on campaigns with clients, and it depends. It depends on the content, is what I would say. Default, I'd always use a logo to basically associate the brand or the company or the speaker with what the content is. Sometimes it's good, and if the content is not good, then it's not good that you associate it with it. So it kind of depends, is what my answer would be.
Mhm. Interesting.
This
I
is
have my other
Rebecca.
question.
I'd like to chime in.
Oh, yeah, go, yeah, just chime right in, Rebecca.
Hi, thanks. So I use my logo, but also on all my documents, I use my photo, but I've changed my photo recently to update it. And that logo staying the same and the picture changing, I think works okay. But if you only had your picture and you wanted to update it, then you might be not recognized again.
Say that again. So if you changed your picture,
Yeah,
people,
say you want an updated picture, like I was trying to get more Macintosh clientele. So in my next photo, I'm wearing my Macintosh shirt and my earbuds, my AirPods with it, so that it kind of looks more Apple geeky than Windows geeky. So I updated my photo, but if I had only had my photo instead of having my logo, then I don't feel that I could change my photo. How could I update it and have people still recognize me?
hey, Minuette, what do you think about that?
Hmm.
This is
That's a
extra
hard
credit question. This is a tricky one.
I would say I do feel that using a photo of yourself, it's probably a lot more easily recognizable because people change all the time. They change their clothes, they get older. So changing a photo of yourself, if you're using a photo of yourself, you're probably still going to be pretty recognizable versus changing your logo, which is not a bad thing. I'm not against people changing their logo. It's just I feel that should be something probably done a lot less often than changing a photo of yourself.
Thank you.
I have sort of an unrelated question, and maybe I have a cat behind me, by the way. If you hear yowling, it's because all these people are gone from my house and the cat wants attention. But really quick, I'll ask my question and then mute. I have been using ChatGPT and paying the $20 a month, and it has really helped me. It knows me pretty well by now. I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's pretty interesting how much it can, make changes for me. So I really thought your AI part was very, very important. So I just wanted to think, speaking of paying for things, your thoughts are probably, James, and certainly Guy probably have thoughts, maybe Rebecca, everybody does, paying for whatever your AI tool of choice is.
So I actually did pay for quite a few months for ChatGPT. Then I switched over to Gemini to try that. Both of those have been they've been different, but they've both been very helpful for me, especially with understanding content and being like, hey, if I say this, is it going to be accurate? Is it going to sound good? Kind of just checking yourself, spell checking and everything. Obviously, there's a lot of flaws with AI. You do have to fact check it. But for me, paying for ChatGPT, especially since you can make different projects and keep all of your files and such together so that it can know what to reference, that was very useful. And for me, I think it was definitely worth it because I used it every single day, use it for so many post ideas and such. I do think that if you're going to do social media a lot, trying it out for free and then being like, hey, do I actually use this? Do I find it helpful? Because for me, it was definitely helpful. I would say, yeah, it can definitely be worth it.
So I definitely have strong opinions on
Oh,
this one.
yes, go for it, Guy. And I want to hear from James too.
And it kind of touches into what we're going to be talking about in December, which is the cybersecurity aspect. So you've got to be cognizant of what you're sharing with AI. Now, in the context of what we're talking about, where we're doing prep for social media, this is much less of an issue. The kind of rule of thumb that I like to give is the content that you're putting onto AI, particularly the free versions of the AI, you should think of it as like posting social media. You're putting it out into the world for those large language models to use for training and so forth. So if you're working on prep for social media posts, that's exactly what you want to happen. So no worries, go ahead and do it. Use the free ones. But if you're working on other aspects where the information is much more kind of critical and internal to your business, you definitely don't want to be putting that on the free versions. You should be looking at paid subscriptions for that, and we can get into that in a little bit more detail. But that would definitely be my kind of rule of thumb, just to throw out there.
Do you want to
can
weigh
I
in on
ask
that? Yeah. Because I know you use AI a lot. Your thoughts on AI for social media posts, or free, paid, all of that?
Were you talking to me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the name. It was interrupted.
Mhm.
I do agree with Guy. I found out, doing marketing with certain things, you do not, or you want to be cognizant. That's a great way to put it. You want to be cognizant of what you're putting on there. But in terms of internal use for creativeness, me and my team use it all the time. Especially me. I'm not very creative. I still draw stick figures. So you wouldn't believe that with marketing. But yeah, I use graphic designers. And then if I don't have somebody there, I'm doing something myself. ChatGPT will even create pictures now if you do the paid plan, that $20 a month one. And it's starting to do a pretty good job with the different iterations and the different models that are coming out. But definitely want to, just be careful what you're putting on there.
Yeah, I want to pop up something really quick on LinkedIn. So hopefully you've all seen this, but maybe not everybody here. So I'm in my settings. If you can see this over in the settings, I'm in data privacy.
We don't, oh, there we go.
Can you see it now? Can you
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
thing? Okay. And these two are really critical. This one, data research, see if you see this, can we enable trusted third-party partners to use data about you for social, economic, and workplace research? That's the default is on, but you want it, most people want it off, almost everybody. Now here's the newer one, to Guy's point. Here it says, can LinkedIn and its affiliates use your personal data and content you create on LinkedIn to train gender-tape AI models that create content? I think not. But watch out, because that just kind of snuck in there. Maybe, what was it, like a year ago, James, Guy? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I don't know the
It's
time.
relatively new, but not brand new. So I thought I would just mention that.
Yeah, those
And
are great
Jenny, yeah,
call outs.
you're a digital marketing gal. Do you have any thoughts on all these? You've been taking some classes on it?
In terms of like the putting it on LinkedIn. Sorry, I was on a call earlier. That's I didn't
Yeah,
hear like
that's okay.
everything.
I'm saying, when just go to your settings. I'm just advice for everybody, if you haven't already done this, to go to your settings and go to data privacy, and then disable the setting that by default allows everything you put on LinkedIn to be available for training for generative AI. But really, my broader question was, any of your thoughts about what we've talked about so far with paid AI or not paid? Do you use Canva much yourself, Jenny?
Yeah, I actually use it a lot when I'm like creating either when I was doing the digital marketing class for creating campaigns, and also for recruiting, for creating like posts for when I'm just like posting anything on LinkedIn for like a picture of like a position, and then just like an administrative assistant. If I'm trying to hire for that, I would like have to like create a Canva posting for like a position and just put like a small description on it and use like different colors too, like
Yeah.
Minuette mentioned.
Yeah, so this really ties right into what Minuette was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Marla.
Yeah, a couple comments and then a quick question. So yeah, I love Canva, and everything is $20. Chat is $20. vidIQ is so many, and it's $12.99 for Canva for the the paid version, and it gives you a lot. So yeah, and it is, once you get used to it, it's real easy to use. I use AI a lot. I'm doing a lot of studying and learning a lot about it from someone in particular. I have a question, since we got all these techie people in here. If someone gives you, or you buy from them, a customized bot for ChatGPT, then does that information stay private, or is that still going to be public? Whatever I do with that bot.
This is a specific GPT that was created for a certain client or for your part of what you do, maybe a service of yours that you have, because James, you got an answer for?
No, I figured I was gonna say that might be more of a guy tech question.
And
I do know we've used a
it's-
couple different. Sorry, go ahead.
I was
use
going to say
a lot of
it's
customized bots, a lot. And
yeah.
yeah.
Let me take that away and I'll research it. I don't actually know the answer off the top of my head. I have some suspicions, but I want to go and just confirm them before I kind of give you information
Yeah,
that
and
may or may
then
not
send
be.
it to
may
me
or
and
may
I'll
not
send
be
it
right.
out to the
Yeah,
whole group.
I'll do
Yeah,
that.
it's no rush. I'm really
Okay,
glad you
thank
did it,
you.
just like you did, Marla.
Yeah.
Crowdsourcing, great move.
Yeah, I can't tell you. We use Go High Level, which is a CRM. Everything they have their own AI bots, and it's very gray when Go High Level. You look at their policies and everything, because I've been asked by clients what information stays within Go High Level server and copyright privacy, and what information is naturally going to be used within AI and then be stuck on their servers. So,
Wow.
I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
it's
much to
there may
that.
not be an answer that's definitive out there yet.
Mhm. But thanks for
Yeah.
researching, guy.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it probably does vary from provider to provider. What OpenAI may do might be different from what Google does. And,
Yeah, this is an individual who I probably have 10 different customized bots from this person. And I trust the person. I know them pretty well, but yeah, they say it's private, but I'm just curious if it really is.
yeah. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, what they're doing with that is on the back end, they're calling an API to a model. I'm kind of naturally more hesitant on DeepSeek than I would be on OpenAI in terms of just where it is, where it's been. Well, DeepSeek is a Chinese company, and China
Right.
perhaps doesn't have the best track record for
Yeah, don't use that.
IP protections. But some people love DeepSeek and kind of the capabilities it does. But I kind of tend to be a little bit more hesitant on them from a
Well, let's give a big
data
round of
privacy point
applause
of view.
to Minuette. We're so
Definitely.
grateful to
Terrific.
you for all
Yeah,
you've shared
well
with us, and we'll have that PDF out to everybody. I wanted to first off just stop the recording because